recognize for the public that. All right, and trustee Fasadi.
Here.
Thank you. And trustee Venegas will not be joining us this evening. Okay, that takes us to our public comments. I'm going to read our disclaimer. At our regular board meeting held on February 9th, 2023, the board resolved that written public comments received by 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting will be provided to the board and read into the record, but not read during the meeting. And I will confirm that no public comments were sent to us by that time today. Members of the public may address the board on topics of the board agenda during every meeting. In addition, during regular meetings, the public may also address any topic within the jurisdiction of the board. Please know the board is listening to your comments, but by law cannot meaningfully respond in this forum to items not on the agenda. The board may limit the total time for public input on any topic to 20 minutes unless it waives the item limit for that item. Individual speakers may be limited to 3 minutes to comment on any topic. The board respects the right of members of the public to speak regarding matters within its jurisdiction. However, please recognize that comments regarding students other than the speaker's own children made during public board meeting may be a violation of the student's right to privacy, and thus the speaker may be deemed legally liable. If you reference a student's name other than your own student, you may be deemed out of order. Furthermore, it's important for the public to understand that negative or derogatory comments made against district employees or others, even those made in a public board meeting, may be actionable civil defamation. Although the board may not prohibit such comments, board policy allows the public to lodge complaints against district employees, providing more opportunity to be heard than is allowed under the open meeting law that governs this meeting. We have 2 agenda items this evening. So we have our approval of the staff recommendation to address the district office facility concerns and expanded learning opportunities programs. But this is our public comment time right now.
So thus far, we have received 2 requests for public comments. Our first speaker is Alfred.
You do after every item. Process. Should. Okay, then I will, but we don't have it.
How much it's going to cost. And I understand that the building that you guys are currently in is dilapidated, that's falling apart, that is probably not going to be usable. But we also have a lot of temporary school, like modular trailers that we've been using for probably longer than 30 years that have not been replaced, where our students are still working at temporary classrooms. So I understand the need for you all to have a place to meet and whatnot, but I know that like when we talk about spending money, I would like to put the money directly towards the students, first and foremost, making sure that they have the correct facilities. Then a question would be around what all other options would you all look at prior to this building? And like, I understand that there's gonna be money specifically for this, but you know, I just think that, you know, we should look at all options and not be quick to make a decision. But first and foremost, looking to the children and making sure that all of our classrooms are updated, that the kids in especially the north area have environment that's conducive to learning. As I mentioned, the temporary classrooms were there at Golden State. When I was there, it was called Golden State, and now it's Riverbank. That's one in particularly that I witnessed and I see, you know, we've had issues with the water pipes there in the past. So just want to make sure that, you know, as we're talking about upgrading facilities, more conducive space for everybody, that the kids are thought of first and foremost. But yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Alfred.
Our next speaker is Rhonda Pope Flores.
I did my last minute research, and I know that the building that, I have a friend that works in that building, I'm concerned about her health, but does that mean that we should make hasty decisions, that are fiscally irresponsible? One of the first things I tried to do this morning was I'm trying to look at the financial audits of the school district, because I would really like to know how you guys make decisions. I wasn't able to find, at least on your site, your current audit. I have some concerns about that as well. I could be wrong, but I think it was $1 million a year for 10 years. So then I tried to look at your policy on leases and purchases, and I couldn't find that. Because it says that there is no policy, so I'm concerned about that. 10 years. Now, we all got a whole bunch of money, the school district, city council, everybody got all this money, all this COVID money. That COVID money is going away. And my other concern is that now there's this controversy of raising all the property taxes, and I am a property owner of 1, 2, 3, now 3 buildings here in Yolo County. That is a controversy among itself, and I'm concerned that, you know, you get someone to appeal those decisions, and then you're counting on those funds. There are so many things that need to be done with all these schools. Golden State, where I went, is falling apart. All the other schools around here are falling apart, and the place that you're proposing to move, 750 point something way, the old Ouch building, that I don't understand that. That's like moving to a mansion. I don't really care about what your other options were. It's fiscally irresponsible. I don't think you can afford it, and I think you're gonna put the school district in a really bad financial position, which puts taxpayers in a really bad financial position. And everyone that's a taxpayer here tonight should be concerned, because you're gonna lock in a 10-year lease at $1 million a year, $83,000 a month. I don't understand how you think you can afford that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Larry Langford.
Good evening. Quite a little game here. How many people live in houses? How many people have pest control? How many people have exterminators? Has anybody ever been run out of their house of pests or rats or anything else? No, because we use good pest control companies. A little bit longer here. Carter Art Museum was built in 1856. Cathedral of Blessed Sacrament, 1826. California State Capitol Museum, 1860. Stanford Mansion, 1856. Old Sacramento State Historical Park, 1849. The Eagle Theater, 1849, rebuilt 1974. Sutter's Fort, 1840. The Governor's Mansion, 1877. Crest Theater, 1949. The Alphaville Flats area in downtown, 1848. Our campuses, Wright, 1950. Elkhorn, 1951. Riverbank, 1960. Westmore Oaks, 1951. Westfield, 1954. Clarendon Campus, 1953. Evergreen or the Yola Education Center, 1958. Alice Morgan, 1959, and her district offices, 1940, 1946, 1955, 1960. We're gonna spend $80,000 a month, almost $1 million a year, almost $10 million over a 10-year period of time. And I don't know why we couldn't use that money to rebuild, reestablish our district offices, make them nice, make them new, refurbish them, instead of spending it and giving it to somebody else's pocket. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our last speaker for this public comment section is Robert Schubert.
I have to admit, I'm shocked at all. This board would consider spending $1 million a year to rent a place. 8,000 students, $125 a year per student. But then again, I know a couple of board members up here that got foreclosures in their background, so you're
Sorry, we're having technical.
Okay, I'll start over again when you.
Yeah, I'll pause your time.
So I got the line back now.
Mhm.
Anyway, start over again. Totally fiscally irresponsible to spend $1 million a year rent on a building. Give me a break. Then again, I know a couple of the board members up here that got foreclosures in their background, so I don't expect a lot of fiscal management out of that price. $1 million a year, by the 8,000 students we have, it's $125 per year per student. There's money somewhere else. One of my LLCs just sold the building, larger than yours, for $2.4 million. You think maybe you could buy something for that kind of money? I guarantee anybody that votes for this, I will personally finance a recall action against them.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for bearing with us this evening on our sound system. Because these were not posted ahead of time as well, the presentations which you'll see, we haven't seen this one either. Then we'll do public comments again directly after the staff presentation to allow the public another chance once you see the presentation. Okay? All right, so with that, we are going into D, approval of staff recommendations to address the district office facility concerns. Monique Stovall, our Chief Business Officer, welcome. I assume the presentation is here, right? Okay, let's bring the microphone back to you.
Unmute, huh?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. This evening, I'm joined by our Virginia, and then also Dan Manowitz, our Director of Facilities. I'll answer any questions. Also, Billy Duba from our Fiscal Office is joining us. This evening, the staff will present a summary of the condition of the district office facility, an update on options to lease, to own, land swap, generate revenue, lease negotiation, and potential funding sources, and then request approval for our recommendation or recommended option to address the facilities.
Ms. Stovall, just for us, since we can't see there, but we have our slides, will you, as you go, just say what slide we're on?
Yes, I'll say, is it okay if I say next slide?
As long as we're slide 2, yeah, and maybe periodically letting us know the number you're, just to make sure.
Absolutely. So this is the alignment to the strategic plan. We believe that this presentation aligns with all aspects of our strategic plan and supports district's goals for student success, equity principles, and all pillars of the strategic plan. Next slide. Thus, it aligns to also the strategies of the strategic plan. Next slide. Now we are on the review slide, and we wanted to review the purpose of our presentation and provide an overview of the 4 major areas that we would like to cover in our presentation, which are why are we here, actions to address the district office, a financial overview, and staff recommendation for the district office. Next slide. Getting into why we are here slide, we'd like to take a step back and look at the district office master plan that the board approved back in 2019. The facilities master plan had 8 established goals for the master plan. The first was to provide a roadmap for future facility work at each campus as funds became available, align facilities across the district with district's educational goals, to provide a master plan of each campus illustrating the proposed projects, to provide an analysis of funding options, to provide a proposed strategy for implementing the projects, to identify and resolve deferred maintenance items and provide an ongoing maintenance plan for future, and to meet the facilities master plan requirements for state funding going into effect with the Prop 13 and the Measure Z bond. Over 600 community members in person or online contributed to the facilities master plan and the vision for the district for its district office and the entire district. So I want to highlight, this is a screenshot from the district office portion of this facilities master plan, and we'll review it together. I know that it's small, but hopefully I can walk you through some of the key points on the master plan. So Mario, I'll ask you to click at certain points. So if you can click now. In this section, it provides an overview of when the district office began its construction.
Yeah,
So the
page
first section
6, I
is the
think.
upper right. And that is the, where it shows when it was constructed. Next box. The section underneath shares the work that has been done to address the facility, the district office, up until the facilities master plan. Some of that work included ADA path of travel improvements, phone system upgrades, network and cabling upgrades, solar panels, plumbing, roof replacement, etc. To the next section, please. The next section is the bottom right section, and this provides the top 5 recommendations for this district office that were expressed by the stakeholders. As a reminder, we had over 600 stakeholders, community members that attended in person, and then also provided an online survey results. These 5 recommendations included reuse the site for other district function, relocate district office to Westmore Oaks, the Clarity campus, do repairs, lease the building, sell the property, and provide a cafeteria for district employees. Next slide. One slide 7 now. With the facilities master plan assessment, they identified several concerns with the district office. And some of these concerns included that there appear to be accessibility deficiencies throughout the campus. There are various spaces in the building that are unoccupied and deteriorating. It also showed that the admin area, which is the front office area, the multi-purpose room, and the stage appear to be the original and void of any upgrades or modernization. Deteriorating gutters, ADA non-compliance and American Disability Act, areas that aren't compliant with that act, wear and tear on the building, etc. Next, that section. And then I also wanted to highlight the makeup of the building. So you'll see that in the facilities master plan, it did identify that there are 26 classrooms. And we are using these classrooms as office space, or maybe has multiple people in each classroom using cubicles or other space. These are some pictures of some recent pictures of the district office facility. You'll see that we all have problems with flooring integrity. For many years in some areas, just the ceiling is peeling. Some of the ramps are very slanted. The sign here shows that some parts of the building aren't earthquake safe. And then over on the lower left, you'll see an example of the slope that goes to the restrooms in the front building. How it's very sloped and not ADA accessible. Next slide. So slide 9, we wanted to share with you the results of a recent environmental hazard assessment of the front office building. This is the building that houses our student services, inspection, our physical department, and then also the business department. And it's basically our welcome to our district. The assessment showed that there's extensive rodent infestation in the attic and crawl space of the building. There's exposed thermal system insulation, also that TSI containing asbestos in the attic and crawl space. TSI asbestos is the most hazardous asbestos. There's damage to the air ducts in the attic, but we wanted to point out that a recent airborne asbestos testing showed that there's no airborne asbestos in that building. It also identified plumbing leaks in the crawl space, potential asbestos containing debris and materials from prior roof work and prior HVAC work or air conditioning work that was just left in the building. And then assessment also showed that outside of this building in the rest of the district office, that the air ducts are in need of repair. And finally, there was a recommendation to demolish a room that is non-permitted and contains asbestos. So if you're looking at the district office and you're facing the district office, and you have that first room, you go all the way to the end, you got to be close to the front. There's a room there that has been closed off at least since I joined the district in July 2021. That room is the room that they're referring to, that they believe is not permitted, and it contains asbestos. Next slide. So what are the costs in order to this area, the front office area, and a healthy environment for staff and for people? The team at MOT team, and the facilities team provided us with a report and also input on what those costs would be. So the cost for the HVAC replacement, repair, cleaning, and sanitation is about $900,000. There's also a room in the technology wing that does have gold, and to clean and sanitize that room, that would be $22,000. To remove the non-permitted office, that's $35,000. And then to clean and repair the HVAC throughout the rest of the offices at the district office would be about $212,000. But then we also need to make sure that we're addressing the interior, like the carpet and paint and any furniture that would need replacement. And the estimate is about $160. So in order to make this front office move habitable, to make the technology room clean, and to address and make sure that the rest of the heating and air ducts throughout the campus are healthy, it's about $1.3 million. Next slide. We'll talk about what are our discuss options here. So we could make it or even to demolish it. If we were to repair the front office, we would remediate hazardous materials, clean up any hazardous materials, and make necessary repairs. As shared on the previous slide, that's $1.3 million. But it also does not address the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, issues that are also still on that campus and in that building. If we left it vacant, if we just closed it up and did not do anything different to have people working or going in the door, that's an option. However, we would still need to make sure that we do upkeep to the building for its structural integrity. And then last, if we were to demolish the entire front office building and replace it with landscaping, that's an option. The cost would be about $1 million. So now we would like to talk about the current actions to address the district office facility. So the facilities master plan was approved and was developed in, I believe, December 2019, approved by our board in 2020. And then the pandemic really slowed progress on many different projects and items, and especially on the moment of our facilities master plan. When we welcomed staff and students back to our schools during the 21-22 school year, we started moving on those projects again. Some of those projects were gutter replacement at Bridgeway and Stonegate, a new roof at Yolo, and then also identifying our COVID monies, our ESSER 3 funding to help with what was titled our big strike projects that were related to the facilities. What's coming from those include water bottle filling stations, playgrounds, improvement to pavement. But, next slide, please. In July 2022, the board requested options to address the district office facilities. And then on January 26, 2023, at a board meeting, staff presented the following solutions to the board to address the facilities. Two options included modernizing facilities, that's the office and the Clarendon campus. The estimates at that time was about $15 million to modernize each campus. Each campus would cost $15 million to modernize. So the district office at that time, based upon the information I had, it would cost us $15 million to modernize Clarendon, $15 million. The other options were lease. At that time, what was available to us was potentially leasing property at 750 leasing a property at Stone Center. The board based the following identified generating options for the 930 West Acre district office. Explore lease to own options that could provide an opportunity for ownership of a leased property. Explore land swap options that could provide land or a building at little to no cost. And negotiate a lease, and negotiate leasing options for the proposed properties. Right after that, we began having conversations with our facilities subcommittee. We've met about every other month since that time to discuss the options, answer questions, and gather more information as we move along. Next slide. In our process, we first for a district office, how much space do we need? And we identified that we need about 37,000 to 40,000 square feet. About 25 offices to be able to support 80 people. We'd love to have a boardroom, but the training space, professional development space for staff is really important for us. Conference rooms, file rooms, storage, a place for our technology, staff break room, and adequate parking. Next slide. In our exploration, our Park Stone Center option is no longer an option because it does not have enough space to accommodate our staff at this time. We also explored the Cal Stores building. As you may know, they built another building next to their main building, and they have begun looking at leasing spaces in their original building. However, the office space is space where there's doors or space where there's doors for trainings or meetings is very limited, and it's mostly a sea of cubicles. And if we wanted to do any change to that, that would be at a cost. In addition, this building is not easily accessible by guests and requires big parking. Guests want to come to that. They would also have to pay for parking in order to meet with us at the council. And finally, the cost, the price is about $3 per square foot. For the 750 Point River Drive, this is 750. It does have adequate space to accommodate staff, adequate office space, and studio space. The building is more easily accessible by guests. And first, $1.90 to $2 per square foot. Next slide. College will be revenue generating options. Revenue generating options are really dependent on the condition of the building of the buildings. Yet they may include lease portions of the property that are saved, or even selling the property. A recent assessment of the value of the district office vacant land is $890,000, close to 890,000. There we go. It's important that you know that this is just for the land because we did not get an assessment of all of the buildings because that would be more info. All this Next slide. Look at lease to own and land swap options. 750 River Point Drive, this time, as we shared, this is the only property that fit our needs that we're aware of. And a lease to own or land swap agreement is not available from the property at this time, if the owner is not interested. For the city of West Sacramento, at this time, the city does not have a building available that would meet the district office needs. However, district staff and the city of West Sacramento staff have begun having conversations about potential land swap. So then we made that negotiating use of the 750 River Point Drive. Some bit of background information about this property. It was built in 1991, and as we shared, it can meet our immediate needs as the property has 100,000 square feet available for lease. Conversations with the property broker, the broker has proposed improvements provided by the owner, meaning any improvements or any changes that we need to make inside the building to make it for us, a school district, they would pay either $90,000 to $100,000 per square foot. They've also proposed a decrease in cost per square foot. They began at $210, and then we're having conversations about going down to $190 per square foot, with an annual increase not to exceed 3%. With a lease, they propose including costs for pest control, utilities, janitorial, landscaping, and maintenance. Their proposal is a 10-year lease with 5-year extensions, and through our conversations, we have shared that we will not as recreational space amenities. Next slide. Next, we take a look at options in this area. Option 1 could include a professional development or boardroom space. Option 2 would not have a professional development space and not a boardroom. The amount of square feet we would be anywhere from 32,000 to 40,000, depending on the option that we chose. The owner contribution to tenant improvements, those are the improvements that they would make to make it work for us as Washington Unified, would be about 1.2 million, all the way up to 4 million, based upon our options. We would need to furnish our own furniture and technology at 1.5 to 2.2 million dollars. And the annual operating expense for option 1 with a professional development and boardroom would be anywhere from $888,000 to $960,000 per year for option 1, and option 2 would be $768,000 to $840,000 per year. We also wanted to share with you what our current situation is. For the 23-24 school year, we estimate that the annual operating expense for the district office is about $217,000. The district office does not currently pay City Hall for board meetings, and this estimate is based on $2 per square foot. Next slide. Now we'd like to review financial options. So we continue as a whole. Next slide. So on slide 22, we propose 3 budget options: the general fund, deferred maintenance, and development agency, also known as RDA revenue. This is a form of property tax revenue. For the general fund monies can be used for any legally allowable expense. Revenue availability is dependent on many variables, including enrollment, average student attendance, meaning the number of students who come to school every day, and changes in expenses. At this time, additional expense to the general fund are not. The deferred maintenance. Deferred maintenance monies can be used when the building systems and equipment require major repair or replacement. It's funded when the board assigns monies from the general funds in the balance. You all agreed and committed to reopen the deferred maintenance fund when I joined the district and began adding monies to that fund to help us with our facilities master plan project. We are proceeding with that. At this time, the fund balance is 8.5 million in the deferred maintenance fund. And finally, we do have the RDA revenue. This revenue we use specifically for facilities related expenses. Use of this does not impact support for student programs based upon our assessment. Projections from the County Office of Education show consistent increases in revenue through at least 2036. Currently, we're using the redevelopment agency revenue, the RDA revenue, to help repay our certificates of participation. It does not have to only go towards debt. It can go for any facilities related expense that's being part of the district. There is an average of 4 million in unspent RDA revenue each year, and the current fund balance is about 5.5 million. Next slide. I wanted to share an overview and a comparison of the availability of RDA revenue. Should we continue to only use it to pay debt versus should we use it to pay debt at $2 per square foot? As you can see with each or either option, the fund balance and the availability of unspent funds will continue to increase. Obviously, if we did use it for the lease payment or a portion of the lease payment, the amount of unspent funds won't be as much as if we didn't use it for lease payment. Next slide. At this time, we'd like to share with you staff's recommendation based upon the conversations we had. We want to provide a short-term plan and a long-term plan because we do not want our district to be in a situation where on a long-term basis, we are housing our district office team in a property that we do not own. So while we have a short-term plan, in our minds, we always had a long-term plan so that we can get into a property that is ours. Our short-term plan, we propose to negotiate the lease for option 1, that's the professional development and boardroom, at the 750 River Point Drive, with consideration of a shorter lease option. Our hope is that we will not have to be there for 10 years, and we can have an exit plan to get into a property that is our home. We would use the deferred maintenance deferred maintenance fund to pay for one-time lease costs. For ongoing lease costs, we would use the general fund, $217,000 that we're currently paying per year to pay portions of the lease, and the remaining amount paid by RDA. We propose demolishing that front office building using the deferred maintenance fund. And then for our maintenance and operations office, we propose that we reassign them to schools for added support for our students. For a long-term plan, of course, we want to be a permanent district office. So we propose that we continue to plan for the modernization of the Heritage campus, beginning when it's no longer used for swing space, especially during the modernization, and potentially using the unspent RDA monies or another identified funding source. We also propose and recommend that we take conversations about land swaps with the city of West Palm. And then for the 930 West Acre, continue to assess what, if any, portion of the building is safe for revenue generating options.
Yeah, let's just ask for public comment from there. And then, thank you.
We do have 2 public comments on this item. The first speaker is Pat Flynn. Speak closer.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
closer.
Anyway, as I told you before, you cannot afford police. There's a problem. And it's just been proven by yourself. For maintenance, if you have money left over after paying. I'm confused tonight, so bear with me. All of your, you've got redevelopment money. You need to pay off COP, but you seem to have some proposal at the end of the year. Why in the heck don't you have your COPs and make that debt pay off? And when it comes to deferred maintenance, offices were just proven, are only gonna cost 1.5 million max to bring up to date. In the meantime, you can house people in this, where there's extra space. Alice Norman, Evergreen. As soon as you're finished with Elkhorn, and I still think there's space left at Farragut campus. Think of what is happening here in West Sacramento with our kids. The general fund funds salaries, and they fund things that children need in the country. There's not a whole lot of general fund money left over to spend, you know. Especially if you want to negotiate things and have great teachers. You're gonna have to really think about what you're doing. You're supporting your teachers and your students. That's your first thing that you should be thinking. Second thing is your employees should be in places where they can be healthy and not necessarily under any other stress related to rodents and such. Oak trees touching the roof where rodents can climb up the oak trees and into the roof. Has that been looked at? I don't want to thank Tony tonight with bringing that facts. I didn't expect that, as a matter of fact. It's first. And they need a lot, believe me. I have grandchildren in this district that should be getting a lot more than they can see. I have employees in this district that I'm very fond of, that I want to see taken care of. And that's your responsibility. Thank you.
Our next speaker on this item is Larry Langford.
Get back. High school.
Good evening again. So redevelopment money and the deferred maintenance, $13 million. Boy, there's our answer right there, isn't it? Sure can use that for that. And the other question I have is that we got ESSR money, I believe that's how it's called, COVID money. We have 3 different rounds of COVID money, if I'm correct. I'm wondering what we did with it. Did we just put water bottle fillers and tables for distancing, whatever, which is not even an act right now? I'm curious because at Twin Rivers, they used their ESSR money, the first allotment of it, $369 million, to put in brand new state-of-the-art baseball fields, softball fields, brand new football stadium at Highlands High School, 2 brand new Olympic-sized pools, and endless upgrades for all of the athletics, including 3 new sets of uniforms for every sport at every level. Our coaches are paying money out of their pocket for things they have to have. We don't have buses for our kids unless it's a league event. This is supposed to be for the kids. You guys are the trustees. What did we do with all of our 3 rounds of COVID money? We certainly had to do more than put water bottle fill stations and tables in for distancing the students. So I appreciate if you guys would find all that information out. Think about the kids, 13 million right there versus spending $1 million every single year. We've got the Clarendon campus, which we talked about doing it. Said the Evergreen Young Education Center. There's a lot of room in our campuses where we can put people. We don't have to have everything shiny and new for them. They can get in there, and if we have pest control, let's give them a call. Get them out there to repair or kill or whatever they want to do, exterminate the pests that are bothering us. Thank you.
Our next speaker on this item is Alfred Melbourne.
Thank you for the presentation. Learned a lot from hearing you watch all the slides. This comes like to my mind, I'm thinking
went to YOLO continuation back in the day. I went to Golden State, to Westfield. Larry, thank you for adding a lot of dates to our schools are actually built. And it just seems to me that, you know, we talk about the youth and where our priorities are and why, I mean, our youth are still in a lot of these schools that are dilapidated and falling apart. We understand that. I mean, it's hard to place a priority over like what's worse, right? Which really sucks to be having to make that decision. But when I think of, you know, the schools that are falling apart and then our trustees move into a space that's gonna be state of the art and new, great, you guys need space. There's these issues with it. I don't think it makes sense to be investing so much into a space that isn't going to be ours. That's a lot of money, and I've seen a couple of slides here that make me think that we could make it work to refurbish and reuse the current building that we have. Doesn't sound like it's as bad as, I mean, what I thought, at least as far as like some rodents and some mold, yeah. I can promise you that if you guys go and do a like an inventory or inspection of all of our schools out here, you're gonna probably find at least the same, if not more. I mentioned the temporary buildings at Riverbank, right? Those things have rodents and different animals living under there too. We've seen, you know, and those buildings are falling apart. So my big thing is let's own something ourselves. Let's fix what we have and take care of it and focus on the students that are utmost priority. It's just, I don't think that it's a sound investment. Seems like the individual who's gonna be leasing the building is trying to make it really appealing, and they want their 10-year lease. I'm sure they're gonna want all of that. They're willing even to do all the maintenance and hire their own janitors. When I think of that, I'd be like, shouldn't we have our own people in there working doing that? Don't we have some kind of janitor unions that we're kind of passing by and not like just giving all this responsibility to this individual or corporations or folks, whatnot? It seems like we should be taking care of things ourselves when it comes to that. But really taking a look at all of our facilities, all of our elementary schools, and I say, and I will continue to say, especially in the North area, having gone to these schools and seen them, how long they've been in use. So thank you guys for the job you guys are doing, and appreciate the time.
Thank you. Our last speaker on this item is Rhonda Pope Flores.
These are all pictures of just one school that has like all issues wrong with it. I'm looking at all of your faces, and these will be the faces that I remember that let our schools go down the drains while you sit in these fancy offices. And what does that look like from the outside? I will tell you what it looks like. It looks bad. This building has clearly been neglected. The responsibilities have went, without being addressed. But does that mean that you take this and just make it a worse situation by going and putting money into a place that we won't own? 1.3 one-time fee versus $1 million a year for 10 years. And you have to walk away from all of that money you just invested. That makes no sense whatsoever. Now I'm going to talk about historic preservation. Yeah, just tear down historic buildings that could possibly qualify for historic preservation. That building does qualify for historic preservation. You can't just make those decisions willy-nilly. Our tribe is one of the tribes that consult in West Sacramento, and I guarantee you, we will have plenty to say about you trying to tear down a historic building without exploring all of your options. $1.3 million a year, one-time fee, versus $1 million every year for 10 years. And don't tell me, because that building has been sitting vacant for at least a decade. They're desperate to get somebody in there, and when they do, they're going to take advantage, and they will raise that rent. There will be some unhidden costs, some hidden costs that you won't know about. And at the end of the day, our kids are going to suffer. How can you even think of this with these pictures of one school? My gosh, if our kids, I know Alfred did, I know Penny did, we all went to those school. I know Vanessa did, I know Rosary did, we all went to those schools. We ended up pretty fine. We're all right. There is a neglect of capital expenditures. There's a neglect of duty on this building. So what do? You go buy a new one, you go lease a new one and throw tens of millions of dollars away when those can be invested in our kids. This is a simple solution, but it will be your face I will remember, and everybody else that will remember. If you go and you make this fiscally irresponsible decision, you're taking 10 million from our kids and you're throwing it down the drain.
All right, thank you for your public comments. And this is going to be a little bit of a tricky format because usually we would have Ms. Stovall come up and we would ask questions, each board member, and we would go back and forth. And so we'll just kind of see how it goes. All right. All right, well, we'll move it around a little bit, but I'll open the floor first to, are you ready for your questions?
I just want to know what the facilities, I mean, this was tasked with the facilities, so I'd love to learn the further discussions there and your recommendation.
Sure, and this has come to our full board
Yep.
also as well as facilities.
Yeah, it's the same, this is basically the same presentation that you saw when it came before the board. A couple things are different though, and I think they're inaccurate. $15 million to modernize each campus was to modernize the whole campus of Clarendon and the district office. There's no need to utilize the full campus for district office needs at Clarendon. We don't need that much space. If we were to modernize the space that we needed to, it was going to be significantly less than that. And that was brought to the facilities subcommittee too. It's going to be less than half of the cost because we have roughly 100,000 square feet at Clarendon and you only needed 35 to 40,000. So the cost of, 15 million would have been cut by considerably more than that. I certainly had my concerns with this. My concerns were about making sure that we had either a land swap, some sort of revenue generation. I wanted to hear about a plan. What was our plan going forward before we made any sort of move? And to this point so far, I still haven't heard any definitive plan that would make some of these revenue offsets into the cost. One of the things that I did hear that was beneficial since the facility subcommittee is the River Point place. The River Point landlord has been willing to modernize the facility and I guess reconfigure it in a way that would be beneficial to us for no cost. That is a very huge perk. From that standpoint, That's basically the only difference from the facilities subcommittee that I have heard so far. I have my own thoughts about this, but I will let you finish up in your question.
You don't have any questions? No, my question was, what was the recommendation? I would love to hear your thoughts whenever you're ready.
All right, do you have any questions you want to go to for coffee?
No, go ahead, go ahead. I'll go.
At this moment, I'm trying to gather. At this moment, I'm just trying to gather everything that was said, how it was said. And the reason I say how it was said is because there's really an emphasis on this is our only option. And I don't think that that is accurate. It's not our only option, but I'm a stickler for words. So I'm just trying to go through it and trying to make a really good decision on what more I would like to say at this moment. So still processing.
I'll finish up then.
Go for it.
Okay. So some of the questions that I had and things that I really wanted to focus on is that the River Point facility would only be a temporary facility, and it would be a short-term temporary facility. 10 years is not an option. I even think 5 years is a bit too long. We have to be in a property that's ours. So unless that, owner of the River Point property wanted to do a land swap of some kind or a property swap of some kind, which I don't think they want to do, given the condition of our district office or any other facility that we have. I don't see that happening. So, I'm kind of gaming it out in my head that the only real property that we have available for us to use is Clarendon. That means Westfield has a year and change to get in and out. Then Elkhorn will be coming in and out. So that's 3 years. So as we go through that, that means in the 4th year, we could be back at Clarendon if we were able to do some renovations to it during the summer to make it inhabitable for office use. I'm not thrilled about the idea of leasing. But at the same time, our staff don't deserve to be in the conditions that they're in. And that's just not okay. However, the district office is going to need more than just $1.5 million worth of work to it. And I don't think I heard that in any of the presentations. So the only thing that I heard was to modernize the district office was going to take 15 million. And that's what it really needs to be an actual office. I think we could do probably half that and be realistic about what we're able to spend. But at least we would be spending it on our own property. I'm stuck here on this one because I don't like any of the options that I'm hearing. All I know is that temporarily, there is a potential for a River Point solution. But it absolutely cannot be, for at least not for my vote, for, more than 4 years. I'll still keep thinking on this as I hear more comments.
Okay, your comments? No, that assess. That assessment feels fair. You're closer to the facilities master plan. The facility subcommittee was created to understand that we prioritize our north schools specifically for the modernization, and we use Clarendon for swing space. That's pretty logical.
And I want to make that clear in some of the comments that we heard this evening about prioritizing our spaces and our kids, and that we are having schools remodeled right now in this moment, thanks to the taxpayers of West Sacramento who have supported our bonds. And so you hear us talking about the Clarendon campus because Westmore Oaks was there and was moved and remodeled into a really beautiful facility. And currently Westfield students are being moved while their school is being remodeled. And then we have Elkhorn coming. And so it's clear that this board has prioritized our school spaces, and that's why the district office is in such disrepair. And there's a difference between an aging facility that's old, that we need to make some improvements on, and an unhealthy, unsafe facility. And it became very clear to us very recently, just like in any of our schools, when people have said that they're concerned about air quality or any piece, come in and you test it right away. And so I read through all of the reports that we just had come through, and it's not a safe space right now. This was very clear. We have rooms. It's not just about bringing in pest control right now in some of our spaces. It's not safe. And it's unacceptable to have employees in that space. So we need to have a solution that is not that at this moment, because that's going to take some time. As we said, we're talking about in here, we can go back and forth with numbers, but it was $15 million in some of our documents. Whether or not it's all of it, that's, a conversation. But this is not just 1.5 million. That's just to make it safe, but we still don't have an ADA space. If you showed up to district office in a wheelchair, you couldn't get in. And so we've known for a long time, it's not been an appropriate facility, but at this point, it's now at a different level. And so that's why we're having this meeting now. This has been an ongoing conversation, started over a year ago, about what to do with this space. It was also our CBO, Chris Mountadenas, brought up the idea of a lease way back then as well, of what solutions do we have as we talk about some of these. So you can tell that none of us are thrilled with these ideas. But when we've been prioritizing our schools where our students are, now we need to figure out what to do here. And we don't have $15 million at this moment to fix things. So what can we do in these times? I have a couple questions, unless my colleagues have somewhere right now. Okay, so given our microphone situation, do you want me to ask them and then I will send it down? Okay, so one would be any insurance information we have. Obviously, this is given the reports that we just had, it seems as though possibly our insurance company might be able to support with some of this move or some of this money. And so has our insurance company been consulted, and what would that look like would be one question that I would have. Another one would be, could our current furniture be used in moving to save some of the costs? I agree with the idea of 4 to 5 years. One piece is we look at what to do with our school facility or our space, sorry, not school facility, but current district office. I know that needs to go out to the public as well. There's a legal process to do. That's probably a separate conversation, but as we go, so what is the next step, I guess, in terms of that with our legal process and finding out what the steps are when we have a surplus space. And let me see if there was one other one. Oh, and then I would recommend, I understand how nice it is to have a space to train your staff. I completely understand that. I don't think that we need the boardroom space, though. Taxpayers have already funded the boardroom that we're currently using at City Hall. We appreciate getting to use that space. Talk about a beautiful space. They've got one. And so I think us using that makes the most sense cost-wise. And this is a fine place to be in the meantime. We can use our school space for the other places. So I would recommend cost savings on that, not having the boardroom training space and utilizing other spaces. Okay, so mainly insurance. Okay, all right.
It's gonna be fun.
Thank you. So first, I want to thank trustee Pizani for that reminder that we did come back with lower numbers when we used our assessment of the costs for modernizing the entire campuses. And so if you'd like, I can give those numbers back for you, but that is true. It will be less, so thank you for that. Second, to address President Irving Gonzalez's questions. We have yet to contact insurance. The information came very late last week. As you know, all of this is really moving quickly. And so, yes, we will reach out to insurance and see and what that may, how that might affect our insurance in the future. Second, absolutely. We can absolutely look at furniture. We know that we will actually take some furniture over. But what we try to do in our presentations is always provide the worst case scenario. We don't want to say that it's going to be $100 and come back and end up being $1,000. Leasing, a shorter lease is absolutely part of our recommendation. We shared that, yes, the broker proposed 10 years, but our recommendation includes going forward with asking them to consider a shorter lease. So I appreciate any guidance that you would provide should we continue down the path of negotiating a lease, 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, what that ask would be. For the building of demolishing potentially the next step, some very small maybe a sentence to conversation about how this might be a historic building. If we decide, okay, we want to explore it may not happen. And even if we determined that it was allowed to be demolished, there again, we would come back to you for that very specific direction related to that building. And then finally, I did want to explain the training/boardroom. Currently at the district office, we use the multi-purpose room for our larger training events. And if we don't have that space, or work at the mercy of our schools to be able to find an appropriate space. The training space that we propose is not specifically a boardroom. It can be used as a boardroom, should we need it, because what our hope would be able to partition off the room so we can have multiple breakout training sessions, or at least a space to accommodate for larger meetings or /trainings that we do every year. We can absolutely go with a different option based upon the
Any questions?
Yeah, I do. This one.
Okay, thank you. And maybe not for now, but as you move forward with the conversation, it would be helpful to know like how often, what you're thinking about in terms of utilizing that, so we know that need is there versus being able to say our Saturday PTs or things. Okay, got some more questions.
Okay. Hi, Monique. So, on page or your slide 9, you talked about like the front office environmental hazard, your assessment. The 5th one said potential asbestos containing debris and material from a prior roofing replacement and a prior HVAC replacement. From those prior replacement, like how long ago was that? Those ones who did it, who didn't do a good job, can they come back and finish and fix what they didn't do the first time? Because clearly that is their job, right? So can we hold them accountable for what it was that they did not do? Or they thought they did, but didn't do it well? I had some other questions and I'll keep coming back to it. I'm also in agreement with if we are even to go that route of leasing, I'm hearing Westfield, 1 year, Elkhorn, 1 year. 2 years, so that's 3 years total, so 4, 1 extra for, so 4 years would be a lease option. I wouldn't go 5. That's if that's the route we're going. And if we're doing 4, if we're gonna do the 4 and the lessor is still willing to put all this wonderful things that, you know, bells and whistles for 4 years, possibly even still, we'll look into it, but I really want us to utilize the space that we have. I'm a stickler for a lot more now than I have been. As my younger years, I've made mistakes, and I do not want to make those same mistakes, especially when it comes to our kids. And I want our staff to be healthy and they feel like we're supporting them, and 100% do. With that being said, I also want to make sure that we're not just throwing them wherever. I mean, even if we were to do the leasing option, it still wouldn't be ready for a year, right? I think we would still need time for them to get there, right? July. So like 6 months. So that was another question, like how, I know we don't have it. I keep forgetting. I'm like, where is she not answering?
I don't know if you want to repeat for confirming that July.
So and we're confirming that it is July, that if the leasing option, they wouldn't even have it ready until then? July or August, okay. Got it. He probably would go super cheap and make it quick. I'm just thinking how I would do it. And I already said the land swapping is not an option. Okay, so now one of my questions, it's the big question is like the deferred maintenance, 8.5 million that we currently have. Roughly 1.5 is just to make the district office healthy, a healthy living environment. How much more would be needed besides the 15? Because I wasn't there at facilities. So how much more would be needed in order to not just modernize, but just make it, like, I want to say habitable? Is that or ADA compliance? Those are my main questions. I'll give you this since there was a lot.
Who's gonna go on?
Related to.
Mhm.
I'm not worried. Yeah, I mean, I was supposed to. 7
I don't know when those projects.
For both.
Perfect. Got it. Thank you.
For those who may not have heard, what Director Feeney has shared is that currently she's looking through the board meeting minutes from the past to see when that was approved. She hasn't found anything yet in the last 5 years, she said. However, she'll continue. But that at least tells us that it's been up there for quite some time. So the likelihood to go back to whomever did that project is low. The next question was related to, of course, the lease. To Clarendon and use it. Is to continue evaluating the modernization of Clarendon. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have to wait until Elkhorn is out.
Okay.
as we're able to get our students to the best case scenario, then we can start the modification right away. That way we can really speed up that path to get back on our. Next one is, you shared that you definitely want to be able to use the space that we have now in one healthy environment.
Right.
I don't recall, was there a question?
There wasn't. That was a comment.
And then for our deferred maintenance fund, it shared that it will take some of that money
Mhm.
to be able to make our current space healthy, just what we have here. As I shared, it doesn't address the ADA issues or any other issues. If I can come back to what that amount would be, to, of course, address the health and safety of the front office, and then what a revised and modern, not modern, but updated cost would be to modernize the entire district office. I think
I was gonna say, you guys didn't talk about that in facilities?
Yeah, we did.
I have,
Oh, okay,
No, we did. It was 15 million. That's what you guys said it was.
but just for ADA? Like if we
No,
were
just to modernize the whole building.
Okay,
what trustee Pizzani shared was at past facilities subcommittee that which we provided the number that for the district office, it would be $15 million to modernize it in a way that is appropriate for our district office.
okay.
Your questions?
I haven't, so with that one, I don't even know. I feel like I need to project.
Yep, screen, you do.
I think I got a loud enough voice. So now my question,
Can't hear you.
who can't hear
I'm
me?
hearing, no, you can't hear you.
Oh, he says he can hear me. So now I'm asking the question of whether or not for 88, what is this? Okay, so 15 million for the whole campus. ADA for just like what we need to make it, like I said, just habitable, sustain, like we have people able to come in and it feel a healthy environment. That won't be the full 15 mil, right?
Correct. So the question is, if we're estimating to modernize the entire district office campus at 15 million, to make the front office and the HVAC throughout the office and address the room that will take its role, would that all be 15 million with ADA? No.
Okay.
There's other improvements that are desperately needed at the district office from the facilities master plan. We discussed plumbing issues. I know so many of my team members, even going to the restroom and out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buildings falling apart.
There's no hot water. Yeah. So if we were to do small projects, and you're saying we could do it over time, 8.5 million is what we currently have, and each year we can continue to still add to that 8.5?
So the question is related to our deferred maintenance fund.
Right.
That has a current balance of 8.5 million.
Mhm.
And the question I believe is, can we just slowly do the projects with that 8.5 million?
Yes.
That is an option. However, it was my understanding that the board gave direction to establish the fund was to be able to use that 8.5 million for high priority projects throughout our district, especially at our school sites that was identified in our facilities. That's what
That is correct.
In terms of-
To address some of the pictures. Yes, sorry, that is correct.
that's correct.
That is correct.
To prioritize the deferred maintenance fund to address other areas of.
Yeah. Monique, can you all hear me back there?
Now we can.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry, Zoom, as you're gonna listen back to my voice. Sorry, no. Sorry, team. So it might be good because I know that Clerk Coffee wasn't here when we made that because we did not set anything aside for deferred maintenance, which led to the pictures that some of our audience members have shown us and the push for $150 million. Can you explain like how that came to be? Because this was under your leadership and guidance, because historically, and this is the board now, so we will own all the decisions of every single board, is that wasn't, we weren't paying into that. So really did let our campuses go.
I'll share based upon my understanding, and I'm absolutely open, folks, if I misunderstood the scenario when I joined the district. When I joined the district in July, we did not have money set aside to be able to address our facilities here in our district. Thankfully, our West Sacramento voters did vote for the letter Z so that we can prioritize Elkhorn and Westville that are performing. But we did not have funding set aside to address what I will call sometimes major projects, but smaller projects that are so necessary to keep the integrity of our buildings. So at that time, we did identify that at the end of the year, we did have some fund balance. We still, the board required 6% of an ending fund balance. And it was the request from staff to be able to take the remaining amount and invest it in our deferred maintenance and another fund to be able to support our retirements in the future. And thankfully, you all come to that recommendation.
Yeah. You want to scream it?
Yeah, I can, I've got a bit of a voice. So I would say this is kind of a high priority item. It's an issue that I think is very important to the entire community. So, and it's now risen to that level. So that's one thing. The other thing I remember from the facilities subcommittee meeting was that part of, you know, as you start breaking ground on things, especially at as a building that's as old as a district office, you have to bring it up with earthquake codes. So as we start, you know, getting into some of the issues that are, you know, going to be addressed, unless we tear down something, we have to update coding, update, you know, however the wiring, walls, rebar, things like that. So that was making it a little bit more expensive to address the issues of that particular building. So it was the building that probably had A, the least amount of space, and it had B, the most amount of problems in terms of what we're trying to get accomplished. So it was the least attractive to renovate. That's why basically the facilities master plan kind of looked at Clarendon as the one facility that seemed optimal, or at least more optimal than not, as one to, you know, address our issues. So that was one of the things that I distinctly remember. Here's a question. Have we contemplated a one-year lease while remediation is done to the district office? Then we can be in either the DO or the Clarendon campus while, you know, we are doing updates, and then do updates wing by wing as we go. Is that something that has been contemplated? And then let's see. And I believe you said the district office, I don't know if I made this comment, was going to be also 15 million. That's what it was going to cost. And that was basically a complete modernization. So that was completely, because it was the same thing as the Clarendon office, or the Clarendon campus would have been. So, and then I remember distinctly the projection was the amortization over 10 years for the River Point facility would have been like, you know, 12 million versus the modernizing our facilities would have been 15 million. That's what was presented to us. And I didn't think any of those options were, appropriate, especially when we weren't going to be needing to utilize all the space. So that was my thoughts. The only other comment that I have is that, let's see, I heard a comment saying that we have offices at the district office. Us board members don't have offices at the district office, just so you know. We have day jobs that prohibit us from doing that. And I think that's it. And I guess Monique can. I was gonna say, I could run it down there.
Want to get your steps too?
I can get my steps in.
My apologies, I don't have. So, one of the questions that I heard was related to, have we considered a one-year lease while remediation is done? Or possibly, going to a different campus or doing it week by week? That's not something you consider yet, absolutely. The other information, thank you very much, Carrie. She was able to find that the roof for the district office was approved in September 2017. And you did share and the amortization over 2 years, and the rest of it is about right. And again,
Side, it was Linda's side.
we agree that that is too long, and
It's patchwork, it wasn't entire,
it is indeed monies that
the entire
we
district.
were able to use to improve the facility of our own. We would want that to go there. However, we are in a situation that I think is quite unique, and we want to consider this option so that we can get our staff to this.
I think we have coming back.
For those of you watching, President Kirby Gonzalez and I were saying that we did the roof in 27, but it wasn't the entire district roof. It was pieces. So thank you for finding it, and recall it was only partial.
It was that main
Yeah.
building that the inspection was done on. It was areas over human resources, and it was the walkways. You're correct, not the entire campus
Right.
was done. It wasn't.
Okay. Okay, so I think this evening what we are coming to do is to give some direction to move forward. This is not an agreement. We would first see an agreement that would all come before the board, so that is not what is happening this evening, but this is direction to move forward into discussions and negotiations. And so what I'm hearing is that you have consensus from the board. So anybody stop me if you disagree, to move forward with up to a 4-year lease. And then this will come back to us in terms of what that looks like.
Up to, yeah. I also said, you heard, I may open to a soft 5, so.
But I only heard that from you, and I heard from 2 that they
5,
said that 4 was
And
all
4 or
they're
5.
gonna have.
Fine.
So it'd be
Actually,
a
I
2-2
have,
'cause we're short a board
yeah.
member.
I have a slightly different proposal, is that 2-year hard, 2-year soft. So when I say 2-year soft, that's month to month, so you can get out of it earlier,
That's better.
right?
That's,
So a 2 and 2 if we're gonna do a 4. And then possibility, just leaving it open, that the direction is for 4, so 2 and 2. But if things happen, because things do happen, that you come back to the board if we need to add it, we need to kind of revisit.
would it be possible then potentially would it be possible to do a potential year by year?
Like-
I think that would actually be even better. At the, we have our max at 3 or at 4 years when we're saying we're gonna be out no matter what, because none of us here really weren't willing to go that far. But if you go year by year, you at least guarantee the, landlord better than month to month, right? Well, it is kind of month to month, just in a year by year example, right? So if we can do a year by year, and the odds are it's gonna be more than just a singular year, but it allows you the opportunity to explore options of renovating wing by wing, certain spots at our other facilities. And this gives us the ability to approve or deny, extensions, based on the updates that we get.
I mean, I don't want to micromanage. I just want to keep at least your estimates are based off two. If it goes up above two, like giving you the flexibility that there's clarity, like, again, I'm just splitting the difference, 2-year hard, 2-year soft. If you do 1 year, 1 year hard, one year soft, like I don't, we'll give you up to 4 years. But I recommend that somehow soft years, that it's not a hard 4 years. Somehow you squeeze in maximum month to month. So we can get out of it quickly.
Okay, and then I think with that would be a side conversation, a different agenda item down the road that we need to clearly have about our district office and Clarendon site, because I think what was muddied in this was, are we going to eventually be back at Clarendon? Are we going to be back at district office? Are we going to spend 1.2 million on a wing or on demolishing? So I think clearly we need to come back and at some point have a conversation with that and what we're going to do with the space to best utilize it and be prudent with our taxpayer dollars, that we're not sitting with vacant space that we're then paying upkeep on. And of course, that process all goes to the public for that if we have surplus land. So clearly, I think we need more for that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Going back again?
no, to that point, no, you're right. To that point was, as trustee Wong originally questioned about the facilities subcommittee, was we wanted to hear what the district's plan was. And I don't think we had a clear understanding of what the plan was as we moved forward. Now we're to a point of emergency, right? Where we have to take care of our staff and we have to get them in a spot that is healthy. So I think what we're doing is addressing an emergent situation. But we need to hear what the full-fledged plan is before we can actually make any decisions about any long-term space.
So the consensus is to move forward with discussions for up to 4 years, preferably 1 to 2 years of those being a soft lease and
1 to 4.
a hard
Or 1 to
lease
3,
and a
yeah.
soft lease.
Yeah, you understand, giving flexibility that.
And then this is not formally on action. Do you want us to take a vote on this, or do you feel like you have clear? Well, it says approval of, it doesn't say technically action. Would you like us to take action on it to make the direction clear? Okay, so can I have a motion? Yes, would you like this microphone? Hold on. I don't really have a mom voice.
You and Sarah have nice, kind mom voices.
Very calm mom voice.
You clearly don't have my voice. When I yell at my husband, just joking, Tony, I love you.
I want to make sure that I understand the direction, and so when it does come to vote, I will be very clear. So thank you for letting me clarify. So I think I understand that you are taking action on the short-term, parts of the short-term plan only, which includes negotiating the lease for option 1 or option 2 at the Blue Point Drive with no more than a 4-year lease.
Correct.
Two. Two.
Make that
Right.
easy and clear.
Option 2 was the one without the space for the board and the room.
Which page is that?
20,
Oh, right, no PD.
20, page, slide 20.
Is that it?
25.
25?
Isn't it 20 was the one, option
Well, there's
1,
not a
option
clear-
2?
Option 2 has no board.
Yeah, that's what's,
Professional development, option 2.
You said option one, professional development and boardroom, option two, no professional.
If they're pulling up, which slide it will be so that they can give.
So you can see it. No, you're fine. So is that the one, slide 20?
Yeah, slide 20, Mario,
Yeah.
or
To
Noemi.
be clear, the recommendation is not written.
No.
That's what they.
So,
I was open.
Dan,
Boardroom, we had-
on, option one, with professional development, special boardroom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine.
or Option two, with no professional development. And so you can let me know which option, and up to 4 years, and I say up to 4 years, just because we're able to do something different there.
Oh, yeah.
So, for short-term plans, you'll let me know which option. No more than 4 years. One-time cost would be deferred maintenance, general fund contribution, RDA contribution.
Yeah.
You want all of those in a motion?
Yes, please.
4 things? All right, well, let's hold on because it's not written in a way on here.
Wait a minute.
I don't, wait, okay.
I have negotiate the lease for option 2.
Okay.
And then all the way up to, all the way through on.
I don't see an option two.
On slide 20.
Slide 20.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not written in a way that's.
Yeah, it's that one.
that, oh,
So that it's fully understanding and following direction.
Okay, in the future, let's write that, like, the motion you like.
I think we're also saying that we do want you to modernize
I-
Clarendon.
I don't think,
yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
that's a
that-
problem.
well, I personally don't. Until we continue to plan for modernization. I think we need to have discussion before I'm comfortable giving long-term plans on investing.
Okay.
District, I think we were all over the place.
Yeah,
We said we wanted a plan for sure, and we didn't hear what the plan is for the revenue generation.
Let's
portion,
draft long-term.
The land swaps, you know, even selling some of our land to the city, what have you. Other people that are interested in it.
Okay, so,
So,
oh, go ahead. Oh, shit. Dr.
So just to follow up with that, in the long-term, I want to make sure you're aware that we have, staff has been having those conversations about land swaps with the city. We have started those conversations and are looking at what it would take to modernize Clarendon. So in terms of, I just want clarification of when the information that the board would like is
Continue.
when we're at the point, for example, with the city of they're willing to
Sorry,
do
doing
a
that.
land swap, or just want to be clear on we're having the conversations, but if we're not at the space to actually be able to swap land, just want to be clear that we provide you with the information that you all need for that.
Okay, well, land swap would need to come to our 2x2 with our city council, I think. And yes, we've said clearly that we want, I think we've given direction many times to continue that.
yes,
We all agree? We've given, so yes, and that would be coming first to a 2x2. I think continue to assess the properties, yes. The wording, I think for me personally, for semantics, I want to wait to make a motion that includes this part because it says continue to plan for the modernization of Clarendon campus. Beginning when it's no longer, to me, it's been discussion or, you know, I guess what I'm wondering is we haven't approved a plan or said yes to a plan, so it feels like that's still coming to us. So it's more of a discussion and work to be coming back to us.
So that is what you're doing? That's what you mean by continuing to plan? That's, where is our clarifying question?
Evaluate, continue to plan, to continue to follow the facilities master plan's recommendation, come back to you
Okay.
for direction. It's
Gotcha.
our responsibility, I believe, to get the information and make the best recommendation we can so that you have the information to give us direction, and that's what we will be doing.
That's what they're doing now.
Long-term plans,
Yeah.
to continue down that path of investigation, providing you information.
Okay. So for the sake of this, because the recommendation is on addressing the district office facility concerns, and I think that yes, these plans that we've said need to happen, but that is address district office facility concerns is really also
The short term.
the left term as well, in terms of what we're moving forward on first.
But for staff clarity, we're not saying stop continuing your plans. We're just saying continue with what you're doing.
Right.
I'm looking at the board
Yeah, for clarity, I mean,
on doing what you're doing.
for clarity, yes, I want these plans to continue. However, from my standpoint, I want to see something structurally in place before we start making any decisions about where we're going to be spending money, including, you know, general fund money and RDA money for a lease or for other things. That was my biggest concern at the facilities subcommittee meeting, was from the very beginning, was I didn't hear one concrete plan that we were gonna follow.
This and this.
We had
This.
several options that we were exploring.
Okay, we got it.
Nothing was there to offset the cost of what we were looking to do. Now, like I said, we're in an emergent situation right now, and I understand that, and I'm willing to move like, you know, a 1 to 2 year hard and then soft potentially, or up to 2 soft. But the concern that I have as we move forward, even if we are gonna modernize a campus or a district office, because say we wanted to sell the district office, we still have to update that so it's not contaminated. We would be responsible on a sale of that to take care of the contamination site, right? Which would be the asbestos,
Okay,
as far as I understand.
I think so.
So
We're voting on
we'll
short,
still be spending money to do away with that. Is that not true?
we're supporting short.
I personally think there's just way too much in here to make a motion on at the moment, because demolishing the front office building, I'm not gonna make a motion right now to do, or these pieces. So let's go with our 3. I'll make a motion. We'll see what you all think. on that.
We'll see where we go with it.
Normally I don't make motions. I leave it to everyone here, but this is I trust you all. Tell me if I'm capturing it correctly. So negotiating the lease for option 2, professional development, but not with the
No.
professional development.
No.
fee. So it's option 2. One-time lease costs, unfortunately, that's where we are, the deferred maintenance fund, ongoing lease funds, a general fund, 217,000 per year, the redevelopment agency, the RDA revenue, of 671,000 to 100,000 per year, up to 4 years. And that's what I've heard
With
from the
clarity
board.
that there has to be some soft years in there.
Mhm. Okay,
I would say you have to start the negotiation at 1 year.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna direct how to do it, but yeah.
I think we've had a lot of discussion that shares
Okay.
our resistance and what we are hoping for, and to start is down to 1 year. This says up to 1 year.
Starts at 1 year, that could be month to month or year to year after that.
Do you want to make this motion?
No, you're good.
I'm gonna trust staff on the details, but soft years up to 4 years. Because it's gonna come back to us regardless.
Do I have a second?
What is the motion? I will second whatever you said.
Yeah, let's-
Sarah.
It says that- I'm
Sorry,
sorry,
I will second whatever you
we
said.
saw this presentation this evening, and I was not expecting for direction on all of these pieces. So we're removing many of the pieces that to give direction to for. So negotiate the lease option 2 for the 750 River Point Drive, with consideration of a shorter lease option that we want up to 4 years, starting at 1 year.
Yeah.
Being for soft years as well.
Inclusion.
It's good.
Inclusion of soft years.
Yep.
Um,
I think that's
done.
it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so motion made by me, seconded by trustee Pizzotti, all in favor.
Aye.
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 I too vote aye. Thank you.
Just a negotiation.
That's right. Yeah, it's just a negotiation. It comes-
We still have a chance to visit the.
All right, the next piece is our expanded learning opportunities program. And I do want to say, actually, just very briefly, our ESSER funds, it was brought up and we have a whole presentation on that. And I'm happy to share that as well with the public if you email me on ESSER funds, or I'll share it out with you. Okay, so that now takes us to the expanded learning opportunities program. That is our ELOP dollars, and this is about a modular classroom additions, again, with Monique Stovall, our Chief Business Officer.
He's gonna say no. Lesser.
Oh, I know.
This item is for discussion. Item, with the city, we made a special board meeting. We had already planned to meet with and have a conversation with our facilities. And requested to continue to have this item on for discussion today because there are timelines that we want to be able to. This evening I'm joined by Rahale Atabaki and our facilities director, DB, so we talk about potential after-school program, modular classroom for discussion. Thank you. Good evening. That, we are this plan aligns to the strategic plan, mark this meeting, but success in our years because we're going to definitely use it for again kindergarten, making sure that all students have access and also should use the resources. And not just the last one, because my eyes are really bad, but it's safe climate. All of that will be provided by. I wanted to first talk about some data. I know we've been talking about after-school program and the ELOP grant and all the wonderful things that that grant has brought to our district. So if we go to the next slide, I put two sets of data. One's from last year, and that data from 2022 is kind of consistent for probably the last 8 years. That has been the number for those sites. This year, you could see that a lot of sites have doubled. This is a kind of an average number. We were even higher than this. Some days we have more students. But you could see that Stonegate is now averaging 250 students a day. Ridgeway is averaging 170 students a day. They had, maybe 80 students. Southport also 70 students to 200 students. So we have increased our numbers a lot. So 20. We have some students building on some of these sites just because we don't have. So with all these wonderful things that the grant has brought us and all the opportunities that we have been able to provide to all these families that were always, all these years were waiting to get into the program, and now they're here, and it's amazing, but it comes with challenges. So if you go to the next slide. I was thinking about all the challenges that I've had in the last year, and I tried to put it down to just some of the main ones. Definitely we need more space. We just now have more stuff because there are more kids. So we have more computers, more laptops, more material, walls, the kids need for the after school.
I have, at some of the sites, I've got them rolling carts where they can just hand out things on the carts and do grade levels on that, but it's just not ideal. And then the other part is classrooms are not available until after three, the teachers are using it, so it has kids that have nowhere to go. And then on minimum days, it's even worse because kids get out at 1 and we still can't get into anywhere until. So it makes it really difficult. We're making it work, but this money is going to help us. And the other thing is loss of material because I buy them things and then we don't have our own space to store things. There's so I wanted to bring up how much it's cost us to get these cookie modulars. We have this wonderful grant that has to be funded by June 30th. And just doing a needs survey between all the schools, Ridgeway and Stonegate are my top priority right now. However, I just want to add that they're not the only schools that need this, but I couldn't do all the schools at the same time. So the other schools will be coming, I'll be coming to you next year for more. We were able to modernize South Courts. We own the 2 modulars on South Courts. The 2 rooms, room 40 and 41. So if you have a chance, go over and look. It looks beautiful. We modernized it over the 60s. But we still need, Elkhorn was modernized a few years ago, but we still need to do a few more schools. But when we add these modulars, Ridgeway and Stonegate will be able to get back the classroom that they're using for the after-school program. They'll get those rooms back, and it's much needed for them to use as a classroom. The cost for the 3 modulars, and I know that Dan's going to be talking more about this. This is the estimate that they've given us. So the buildings will cost 3 modulars, 2 at Stonegate and at Ridgeway. Have these grants, like I said, we have the grant that here. So if we do not spend the money.
Thank you. Next slide. These modular buildings that we were researching at Ridgeway Island, the classroom buildings were built by JL. They're already foundation. A lot of the modular builders today.
You've heard the same things that I have too.
Over at Ridgeway, we're proposing to add 1,350 square foot classroom with the restroom, again, slab on grade foundation. It'd be the same design materials as the existing classrooms. So they're gonna look exactly the same as the existing buildings there. The same with Stonegate, but we're gonna proposing 2 1,350 square foot classrooms with the restrooms, same foundation, same design and materials. They actually look the same, because that's one of the things with modules, that does look the same. It's the same stucco, exterior walls, same metal roof, same design, everything. But that's what we're proposing for those. These are the locations that we're looking at. If you look at Ridgeway, see it there. We originally looked at adding this into the kinder area to create another kinder room. However, the existing classrooms there don't have fire sprinkler systems. So in order for us to put a building, if we get within 20 feet of the building, we have to sprinkle all the existing buildings we're within. So that just brings the cost way up because we have to react to all those. So we shifted gears and we looked at The current proposed location is right there on that pathway, and there's a gate that's already existing right there. So it'd be easy for after school pickup, and really eases the flow and keeps it, they won't have to go through the entire campus to exit at night. And then at Stonegate Elementary, after meeting with the principal, we selected this location. And again, it's right there off the parking lot, and there's a gate right there for, so it's easy to pick up, and without having to go through the campus. Stonegate, this is only just one of the most viable places to put it. Any questions?
Oh, first we'll do, if there's any public comment, since the presentations were just up, we'll take that first.
Yeah, I'll make a comment.
Public.
We had one public comment request from Patrick.
Is this an ongoing grant for how many years? And does grant include the cost of buildings? And I want to go back to land swaps. You can't arbitrarily swap land with anybody without going through the state of California. It's a long process. And it's a first right of refusal that it will on the market, and whoever wants it, the city's the first right of refusal, they have to pay market value for that. So getting back to the grant, Stonegate has the city-run after-school program. They've used the funding. They've had an after-school program, the city's had an after-school program there for many years. I don't know how many kids are in that program. Is this an additional program? Is it adding on to the city's program? I don't know if Ridgeway has an after-school program that's run by, but I know that Southport has the
YMCA,
Southport has
same as Bridgeway.
one after-school program, but not to the extent that Stonegate has. They have a city-run after-school program that they have. And again, these are all classrooms that are going to be utilized at the southern end of the city. Where's the activity at the north of the city? Why are they always the last to receive funding for stuff like this? And saying that the general fund can be used for anything, again, I just want to say it's mostly used for salary. Very little goes into the classroom. And there's no. And as far as this item goes, it'd be interesting to see how it plays out, and is it going to be run by the city, by the district, and how is it going to be different from the city?
All right.
I can,
Thank you. Do you want to do yours?
Yeah.
Answered? Okay. All right. Sure, come on up.
I don't want to.
Okay, thank you, Vice President Wong.
well, first, I'm gonna dip out at 7:45 because of enrichment programs, because I have to pick up my child at 8 o'clock from her rehearsal. I am not totally sold on this. Again, we heard earlier, I mean, we just had a major conversation about facilities, and ELOP, as you all know, was, well, maybe you don't, was supposed to be extended for increased rates, for quality programming, and for getting TK to a 9-hour day. Right? So what I hear, this is targeted towards not TK for the 9-hour day per se, and we won't have to get into it. That again, this is a one-time facilities building on sites also in the south and not the north. I agree with that. So really, I know I have, and I know other board members have gotten calls and questions about certain providers saying that they've been overwhelmed. And part of that is the rate in which the rates that we pay them, how we actually manage this, right? From Southport going from 90 to 200 overnight, we're losing quality programs. I mean, instead of, and again, I'm looking at it down, I was thinking like, people need to get paid for this work, right? A lot of them, the city does run a lot of programs, and they're low wage jobs too. People who advocated for ELOP increases they actually wanted wage increase for our programming too. I wanted to make that clear as we're thinking about this program. And again, I do generally support staff recommendations, but this, because I know what ELOP was supposed to be, something I've already identified when ELOP was coming down, I'm not completely sold on this proposal.
Okay, thank you, Vice President Wong. Do we have other comments from here? All right, Steve Azadi.
Thank you.
Yeah, do you want to answer it now?
Yeah, why don't you answer now?
Okay, I didn't know if you
Yeah,
wanted to.
Yeah, here,
I didn't know if it was more of a comment or a statement.
I make the comment, Brett.
Yeah.
That's fine, so that way I don't forget.
yeah, no.
Thank you. I wasn't trying to, I didn't.
Oh,
know
no,
if it
no,
was a
that's okay.
Statement or if you were asking.
Yeah. I mean, it is a, yeah.
Go back to the first slide where it has the numbers. You can, and then help me if I forget, if I miss anything. The north and south, as you guys know, the north is where I work, and that's always my number one priority. We did remodel Riverbank the year before. So that was the first thing I did, and I used ACES funds to remodel Y1, Y2, and Y3. Those are dedicated to the after-school program. They were beautiful. The second year after that, I remodeled Elkhorn. They have their own portable right behind the cafeteria, and we placed all the floors. So basically, I did, Westfield was next on my list, but Westfield ended up being remodeled, so that's taking care of that. The reason I said Stonegate and Great Bay for right now is because the need is there. As you can see the numbers, there is a high need. And they couldn't afford to pay the YMCA before the ELOP funds. I get calls every day, parents thanking us and computers saying that you don't know how this has changed my life. But these are parents at Bridgeway, Southport, Stonegate, who couldn't go to work because they didn't know what to do with their children. So, and then the other part about the grant money being used for, we do have on the next board agenda an amendment to the wage increase for the city. So we have been in negotiations because unfortunately it takes a long time. I've been telling them we have the funds, let us get increase, but my hands are tied because the city makes those decisions, or the YMCA or Champions makes those decisions. They're not our employees. It goes through a lot of channels. I've been meeting regularly with HR from the city, with their hiring people to try to explain and go through their red tape to give them an increase. So an increase in wages is coming for the people who work for the city of West Sac for Kids Zone. It's going to be on the next board agenda. So we're working on that. And then the other part is the TK, making the TK a 9-hour day. So these portables will have, are going to be geared for TK and kinder, because that's why they have a restroom inside of them. They're going to have furniture that's age appropriate. Again, if you go to the YMCA in Southport, it's for the TK kids. The money was spent for TK. As you know, I also run TK. So I'm paying attention to that and where to spend the money. This is the best use of this money, since the money is guaranteed right now till 2027. And it's a lot of money. I think in the long term, this is the best use. And you guys know that I've been bringing all kinds of enrichments to each site. It's going to take, this is our first year. I know it's going to be a little bumpy. Providers are coming along. It's taking, we're providing training and taking them on board. But I think the extra money that we have this is going to be something that's going to be there for kids for a long time. Hopefully I answered most of your questions.
Trustee Pizzotti.
Thank you. First question is, how much is the total cost or the total grant? What's the total funding?
We have around $922,000 ACES grant that's coming to us, plus
$922,000 in the ACES grant.
ACES grant, plus
$922,000 in ACES grant. There you go. 7 million for ELOP monies for 2 years, so 303.5 per, okay. For till 27, right? Okay, got it. Okay. So interesting. I've struggled with this for several reasons. One was Bridgeway. I've asked for a number of years, where the heck could we put a new building? And time again, I was told there's no place we can put a new building. And yet we're finding a place to put a new building. So this is more of a statement than anything, so how sure are we on this? And I don't mean to be snarky about that, because either I was told something wrong the first time, or I'm being told something wrong this time. So I have trust issues on this because, you know, Bridgeway has obviously been impacted for a number of years, right? So that's certainly an issue. Same thing with Stonegate, unless you're having to put this out in a field that's kind of far away from the campus, it's out and removed. I don't know if there's a gate on that Stonegate part. Is that where the gate is, right there? One of the questions that I had initially was, when this was brought to the facility subcommittee, was can we include this into a PLA? And the construction portion of it, because I believe that, I'm not a fan of modulars as they tend to get around, project labor agreements because they are built off-site, right? And that means in your project labor agreement, you're paying the fabricators the same wages that you're gonna pay somebody that is on the same construction site as on the campus. And a prefabricated building is going to be, spent differently. And as we're talking about what we're going to pay, champions or ACES or YMCA people, what about the people that we're gonna have build these? I mean, we should be all about paying people what they're worth and how we value them, right? I mean, that's basically one of the issues as to why I've kind of asked for this item, and I haven't received an answer to this question. So that is, something. And to that matter, I'd like a follow-up that's not on this issue on where are we with PLAs to begin with. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put a quick pin in that. That's
Okay.
important. Because Vice President Wong is leaving,
Sure.
he's gonna make a comment and then we'll come back to that.
So it's also a point of clarification. You can nod yes or no. We just have to encumber them by June 2024 and expend them by 2027. Earlier, it's important that this is a one-time grant.
It's 23, I thought.
I don't think they're gonna extend it till, usually they give you a little bit. It doesn't go all the way till 2027. They're usually they've been giving us a little bit of leeway on how to spend it, but it won't extend.
I'm happy to talk to Michael Funk about this. I'm happy to text him right now. But in any case, at CD, yeah.
So yes, it has to be encumbered by June 30th of this year, this amount.
23.
That's why we're looking at just
20.
these three projects.
24.
24.
June 24 has to be encumbered.
By the end of this fiscal year. However, believe that we would be flagged on our audit report if we didn't expense of the fund in a timely manner.
And timely is, so,
I would say definitely by the end of next school year.
so June of 2020. So I'm sorry, I also heard a June, 2027 date from staff. What is that date?
So the 27 date is our understanding of what we know right now, how the ELOP program will continue. The governor has said in some areas that it will continue, but we just don't have that. I guess we're cautious at programs.
So you're being cautious. We're not clear on whether or not we have till 2025 or 2027 to expect.
No, to clarify, we received monies for last year and this year that must be spent. The deadline to spend the monies we have right now is June 2024. We will receive more monies July 1. And we anticipate more monies the next year. So for the next 3 years, we'll get more money. So
Gotcha,
we
gotcha.
are obligated to spend what we received by a certain deadline.
Okay, so, but you're only, because the word I'm stuck on is encumbered. So you're holding it for a contract for June 2024.
We have a contract in place.
A PO, a contract in place.
Yes,
Right, for an expenditure that will happen after June 20, an expenditure that will happen after June 20, which tells me that you could also be in several contracts for after-school program by June 20. Lots of different types of contracts encumbered by June 20th. Doesn't have to be modular buildings, can be services, can be summer programs, can be in the following year. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that is, so we're choosing, the recommendation to choose to spend it on buildings instead of services to kids. This recommendation would take $3.3 million in modular, right, for expanded programming, but the choice is to put a contract into a modular. That's the contract, a PO, instead of like, say, 3.3 million, and this is a hypothetical, 3.3 million in service contracts that can be encumbered by then.
But just to,
That's how I heard
to that, Given $3.3 million every year till 2027 at least. And I've been spending, as you guys know, that you see the contracts coming.
I have been spending the money, but that's a lot of money. Even with about 20 enrichment programs that I got over at the summer, and we had 1,200 students getting enrichment services, it still didn't make it to 2 million. It came to 1.5. So it's a lot of money, and if we don't spend it, it will have to come back to the state. And I feel like this is a good use of that extra funds.
Yeah.
But if you have ideas for, I have ideas for more.
Yeah, and I would say you put that summer program in short form when it first came to us. So now that you have more time, you possibly could spend 3 months, but that's just my opinion.
Let's do the PLA comment.
yes.
And then, down here, we'll do the PLA comment and. All right, Jackie.
The question that we received at a previous school facility subcommittee, we did talk a bit about modular, because we had some conversations about PLAs, project leader, which to be clear, is whether or not a modular could be included in a PLA. Based upon my understanding and my conversations, we can include anything in a PLA. Negotiating with the district and with our trade council partners.
I asked specifically about this one. It wasn't about a modular per se. My question was, can this particular one be included in our PLA that we are currently negotiating?
With more direction, yes.
Okay,
Done.
got it. And then what, I had another question, I'm sorry, that was not
I
answered.
will, just to follow up, I will say, you did give board direction about a year ago on PLA.
Right.
Okay, what was your second question?
Well, it was about actual facility sites and the choice of locations. I was told there's no space. I was told that there was no space to build, right? I've been told that, I've been on the board for almost 9 years now. And I was told at Bridgeway, there's no space to build. Apparently, we've been able to find space. Same at Stonegate. I've asked about Stonegate space. Apparently, there's now space. That's the question is this true that there is actually space? I mean, have we been able to find a flat enough spot that has electrical, has plumbing, has all the things that we need and won't be a hindrance to the work site?
So there is we actually have done a number of walks on this site. When this was brought to my attention, we want to look at this. My first thought was next to the kinder area. Is there enough room for one there on the side? Yes. There is a slope, so that kind of makes the site cost a little higher because you got to deal with that slope. But we did the walk with the architects, and when I started questioning about the fire sprinkler system, that's what they said, yeah, that we have to sprinkle that fire. That takes it out. So then I brought them over to this area. There is a slighter slope to it, not very much, but there is a slope that, so the site work would have to be built up a little bit. But that is a site, it's gonna be 20 feet away from the other building, so we don't have to worry about the sprinkler system. If there is, we can take from those other buildings right next to that location, the water, the electrical, and everything that we need.
All right.
With Stonegate, this was actually, looking at this was actually the request of the principal. There is a chain link backstop there that would need to come out. We would take out those things, we would offer maintenance to have all the chain link fabric and all the parts and pieces. The posts, usually you can't save those ones are brought up with the concrete footings, but that would need to, but according to the principal, that space is it's not used, and that would be a good spot for it. And there is a gate right there that's already installed in that fence.
Besides the principal, who else talked about that? That's the principal that said.
Okay, Clerk Coffee?
Yeah, pretty much.
So just to clarify, the only person that we would need to know if building can go there would be the principal? We talked with like grounds to make sure that, I just want to make sure that I understood that that's where the principal wants it for Stonegate, like that's the ideal spot. But we definitely check to make sure that it meets all of like the plumbing, since this would be okay. All right, well, I just wanted to confirm that. I, much like a lot of people, I know there is a need. And there's a need because of the fact that now it's a gift, right? People want to take it, not advantage, but people want to use that because it's something that they haven't had. I have mine at Riverbank. You mentioned that the, Yosemite buildings that are there and that they're beautiful. We just modernized them. I'm not really sure what buildings we're talking about because the same buildings that my kids are in are the same buildings I was in when I went there at Golden State. So when it was Golden State, so much like many of the others had talked about. So for me, I see, yes, there is a need at Stonegate. Yes, there's a lot going on. But if you don't have the facilities, you don't have the space, then you have to, unfortunately, minimize it. You can't have all these kids come if you don't have the space. Riverbank has space, but the buildings are really old, run down. Some of them have water damage, other things going on. Like I said, some of those buildings, as Alfred had mentioned, are over 30 years old. I am just trying to figure out besides spacing and the numbers, other than that, why else was Stonegate and Bridgeway, like, hey, this is why this is a priority? Is there any, could you tell me on that? Oh, no, there you go.
There you go.
Again, if we go back to the slide that has the those numbers have been consistent for the past, since 2015. If I pull data from the past 8 years, those are the numbers of families that need after-school programs. So if you look at Riverbank, and actually 85 is pretty high for last year. We were at a risk of losing our ACES grant for Riverbank because we could not get enough families to sign up. And
But that was also COVID year.
yes.
So I'm like, we can't really.
But again, at the same COVID year, at Stonegate, we were full. So, and Westgate is the same way. We have a hard time getting families to want to use our after-school program. I'm really hoping that with all the enrichment programs that we're bringing, that it's going to entice families to want to use after-school program more, which hopefully is going to help with their attendance. But that was the need for the Stonegate Bridgeway was pretty obvious. The other need was that just regular school day need. I know that at Bridgeway, the SCC class, there's like 3 different classes going in one classroom. And my thought was, if we do put this modular there, they could use that during the day. I mean, these modulars can be used during the day as a regular classroom. We could share that with the school sites and then after school program using it after school. My only wish, as I have brought up with Dan many times, is I need to have storage in there so that our stuff is not mixed up with the other, with the teacher stuff and a plaque on it that says this was bought for development. But otherwise, I think that this is a good place to start. But we do have $3.some million every year coming to us. So my thought was for next year to replace the Riverbank Y1, 2, and 3 modulars. I did try my best at 2018. We got rid of everything in there, got brand new furniture for the kids, brand new everything for those 3 rooms. We ordered blinds for them that are supposed to be replaced. So we're trying, but it's hard because it's cold. They need to completely replace. So that's a different board meeting, but.
Okay, do either of you have any more questions? Nope. Okay, I have my kids also. We have our kids in the district. I think all of us have utilized your programs with our kids this summer. My daughter was here actually though for on stage doing Camp Yampa. And my other one was doing camp through the district. And that was a really important few weeks of our life. I mean, as we were dealing with my stepfather going through cancer treatments and other things, that really, really helped our family, and it helped many families for many different reasons. And so our kids were dropped off and they didn't want to be picked up. You did such a good job. And I'll just share, and I've shared it before, as you know, I work on school sites outside this district, and ELOP dollars at a school site of 800 I could count the number of kids on my hands that they served last summer. And it was such a missed opportunity. And then to see what happened here, and I know how hard that was to just the lift that you did to give such incredible enrichment to kids across every single one of our schools. Thank you. With this facilities, I've walked all of our campuses. Of course, Stonegate last year when I was walking through classrooms, the principal pulled me into a closet. It'd been a storage closet for curriculum that they were repurposing into like an OT room because there's nowhere they have no space. They don't have places for speech and others to meet. There's just no room. And then the Bridgeway classroom that you spoke to, the resource teachers, 3 teachers are trying to teach. And if a kid is taking a test and somebody over here is trying to teach, and these are students often with sensory needs as well, I mean, it is a kind of an impossible ask. It's really an unfair ask for our kids, I think, to be in some of those. So I say that not because there's not need everywhere, but there's different need everywhere. And I know for a fact that those are 2 places. The principal of Stonegate was hoping it would come in last year, and she said, I think there's going to be extra space that I can use during the day, and I'll put my OT here and my this here. So I think that this is a gift. We don't have the district facility money right now in other ways to put space to have some of those places. So being able to use this grant is a huge gift. I hear all the comments, and I think it was really important to hear the piece about wage, because we do hear that. We hear that it's really hard to hire people. They're not, our people who are working with our youngest kids are often just not making enough money. And so I appreciate that next agenda will have the Increase the Kid Zone. I'm really happy to know that this is the focus is on our TK kids for this. And I'm also really happy to know that it's modular. It's not, brick and mortar, but we made a commitment on this board that we were not going to put in portables, because portables, we have a mess of portables in this district. If you see them in terms of, rodents underneath, the aging, they are not aging well. And so we made a commitment that we didn't want to put portables with any money that we had moving forward. It costs more, but then the space is better for kids and for staff. So with all of that in mind and all of those pieces, I'm supportive of this moving forward, hearing all of the parts here this evening, and knowing that all of our school sites are able to serve students and have space for them. And are there any more questions? Yes.
Just more of a statement, and I think you hit it right on the head. My question was just about space and where it is, because physically I've been told one thing, right, the whole time. If we can get actual physical structures on our properties for basically free and not have to pay for it out of our own general fund or redevelopment funds or anything, if this is ELOP funding, then I think these structures will be here for 40, 50, 60 years. And that's something that we will benefit from. So I'm in support of that. But to Trustee Wong's point, and I want to make it very clear, Champions and YMCA do not pay their staff well at all. And I have a problem with that. And I have always had a problem with that. I've had a problem with seeing my child go through the YMCA program and have one teacher there, or one, I won't even say teacher, I'll say one babysitter there. And then the next week, another one, and then the next week, another one, because that's what it was. It was a revolving door of staff. So this year, we use it to build. Next year, we use it to fund, hopefully, if that's the way we can, get through this. I don't know if anybody wants to talk more, but I'm done. I agree. This is a good idea.
Do you want to make a motion?
There's this
Roughly.
discussion.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
Believe it or not, the city is paying even less.
I know.
The staff that Champions and YMCA, we have people leaving the city to go work for Champions and YMCA because they pay more.
Right.
So this is a problem all across the state, not just our problem, unfortunately. So we're trying. Unless we hire all our own staff, and that's the only way that we could guarantee
We
wage.
looked at that.
Yeah.
We actually did look at that a long time ago, and we were unfortunately priced out ourselves.
And Rahale, you do not need, this was for information, or just you need direction? Okay. Okay, well, you have some support here. So thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for sharing all this. Okay, and then I have a facility update with Monique Stovall, our Chief Business Officer.
And then-
Oh, would you like this? Yes.
Oh, there's another one?
I thought we were done.
And the date that we would have provided our facility subcommittee projects. And again, we didn't want to miss that opportunity. So we'll try to go through these updates thoroughly, but also quickly. I will provide.
Are we supposed to see anything?
No.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
I'll provide some general updates. My updates. My updates are related to the project labor agreement that I wanted to. Since our October 2nd facility subcommittee, at that time we got concerns, direction on the PLA's, the labor and trade council's responses. Our response on the PLA and received direction about the district priorities. Since that time, our legal counsel, Sam Santana, revised our responses and provided a proposal to the trade council. We had a meeting with the trade council on November 14th to discuss their concerns, clarify any questions they have, and as of today, we are awaiting the responses. I typically email about every 3 weeks if I have. Concerned about the momentum for the rest of our projects. I really want to be able to have a finalized.
Right.
As it's at this time, we have to add another projects, but at this time, it's for our Elkhorn project, and we want to be able to continue moving that project along and not listening to it.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, so what was, boom. So what was the last conversation about? What was the last, you said Sam responded back. What was that about? What was the conversation with Sam about? And what was prior to that? What was the council's response to Sam in the first place?
Our October 2nd facilities subcommittee, Sam Santana came to that meeting and shared that the trade council had done strikeouts, red lines to the proposed agreement and took out many of what he felt were the board's priorities, such as local hire and language related to our continuing education program. And the facility subcommittee shared that that absolutely is a priority. So Sam then went back and worked on our response to the PLA, or response to their red lines, and then sent that back to the PLA. We waited a little while. He provided the response on October 20th. I sent an email to the trade council on November 9th, asking if they had any questions, because I hadn't heard back from them. And then that following Tuesdays when we met with them, the concerns that they had about including local hire and reference to the continuing, the current technical education programs, they felt that that would be quite expensive to include PLA project. They shared that typically that would be in there if it was an all-encompassing at PLA that projects. And so Sam and I were able, Sam was able to explain to them that this was a board priority. Another concern that they had, and the understanding that they had, was that we were doing an apples to apples type of comparison of the PLA versus another unknown project. And we explained to them that, no, this isn't an apples to apples type of assessment. Although with our Westfield project, we are seeking information about how many of their subcontractors have union members, and we're gathering that information, but we're not in a place where we do an apples to apples. And they were very receptive to that. And so they said that they would go back and edits to the agreement and were
I would just say in the future, don't wait, 3 weeks for prompting. Get pushy, Week it. If you don't hear anything from a week would be my suggestion, but we got other board members to give direction to. Well,
Yeah.
I don't mind seeing.
yeah,
Well, it's unfortunate, but you have to, but I agree,
Yeah.
because we have projects and we want to move forward.
exactly.
Want to. Okay. Is that all for your updates?
That's all for me.
Okay.
Real quick, so through a couple things, the importance of Westfield Village modernization. It's going really good, it's great. We're hitting our milestones, and so the latest was before the end of November, the asphalt going down, and it was done before Thanksgiving, but you had the front parking lot, the whole entire bus loop, and the parking lot was all paved. So the first layer and everything's done there.
Good.
And they worked on the footings for the admin buildings, you'll see in the front. Don't drive by there this week, go next week, because right
Oh,
now.
it's gonna go
we're in the
next.
street.
I was just gonna go.
The street is kind of shut down. And we're scheduled to be done by Friday. However, we've got rain coming on Wednesday. And sometimes
Oh.
if there's enough rain, you can't work in those trenches. So we're gonna play it out and see, but transportation had to move, everybody had, so it's really important for us to get this work done. That's our priority right now. But the project overall is going great. I mean, we're almost buttoned up the new classroom buildings, the siding sheeting is on, the roof sheeting is on. So they're moving along, doing really well.
Can I ask real quick, how are the neighbors? Are neighbors able to get in or not? They're,
Yeah, we have traffic control for the neighbors.
Okay.
Necessary,
okay,
all the contractors that are.
Okay.
But we're just trying not to let the flow of traffic and that thing.
Okay.
So we get that work done. The Elkhorn modernization, we're gonna start working on building the design committee for that in the next couple of weeks. So we can get that moving now that we have an architect on board. The ESSER 3 projects, we're going to DSA with those projects on the 12th of December to get those through so we can start working on that. And our goal is to pull the drinking fountain, the water filling bottle stations out of that to get them done during the school year. Then we'll come back over the summer and do the play structures and the shade structures and all that stuff for the kids out there. City projects over at River City High School, we're monitoring those. It's their projects, but we're monitoring them. They've been working on the ADA improvements in the front of the rec center, and the lights for the tennis courts, and then the pool will be started this month. So we're hoping to be done by February. Of course, weather's gonna be weather permitting on that pool, but we've given them February 4th, swim season starts, so you gotta be done.
That's the decking, the pool decking.
Yeah, they're gonna grind up
Right.
and then resurface the top of it.
Okay.
Right? Not replace the whole thing, because then you're replacing the entire pool.
And then quick question about we had the Dolphins swim team wanting to have their scoreboard replaced. We had a 2x2 with that. Have you had any more conversation with the city about that?
Kate Smith, the Parks and Rec Director for City of West Sacramento. Club votes, provided me with some information. It really is something that is completely related, as we suspected, with us. Kate gave me the contact information last week when we were at conference, and so I'll be reaching out to Dolphins with.
Okay.
And the last thing for my update is our furniture request for proposals is out right now. And this is to build a pool of furniture vendors as we are doing this for Westwood Village, new construction, then Elkhorn, and then when we need furniture throughout the district, we're having a request for proposals out there to get a pool of vendors. We'll be bringing those to you. All those proposals are due December 20th.
Can, one more, is
Go
there?
Oh, yes. Also, on the 14th, we have the design standards agreement. What we were trying to do is build our design standards for this district, and it is basically a book that says this is what we do, whether we're installing modular buildings, building new buildings, renovating, modernizations, all that, and it's all of our requirements, right? So the district standards is pretty, the quick, easy example is flooring or roofing. Like, this is our example for carpet, because what happens is when you put it out the bid is that you can have this or equal, right? We want, just to throw a name, Armstrong carpet, right? 18 by 18-inch tiles. This is what, this kind of fabric, and it has all the details, right? But a contractor can come back and say, well, I'm gonna give you this. It's equal, but what it happens is it's cheaper for that contractor, right? So it's cheaper materials. This realize, and it comes to you as a board after the bill it's done and you approve it, then there is no equal. This is what our design standards is, it's been board approved. So there's a proposal coming to you that's gonna be for those design standards. It takes a while because it has to go through our office, then it goes to maintenance, and we pick everything from the kind of carpet we want all the way down to the flush valve on the toilet, everything in between, doors, roofs. Okay, so that's gonna be coming as well.
Nice.
Do you have any update on a YOLO handball wall?
Yeah.
Yes, that is also going to DSA through the same we have the same architect working on that in December. So then we have to, and the reason why it goes to DSA, it's a big wall. It's 20 feet wide and it's 12 feet tall. So that one has to go through DSA. And then we'll have that thing fabricated installed. So I'm really trying to get that in by the spring.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
Okay, I'm trying. I said try.
A lot of kids will hold us.
I know.
Right?
I was like-
Seriously.
Get their promise.
Okay. Thank you.
Good.
That's all.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well then, that is all of our items this evening. I just want to thank you again, especially to our CBO, Monique Stovall, for this presentation that kicked us off this evening. I know a lot of time and work went into that. So to you and your entire team, thank you for that. And for all of the pieces this evening. And with that, we will all adjourn and get home. Yay.
Yay.
I got scared. I saw this thing move.
No.
Got jittery.
I